I'm gonna try and do a video on this. I had a problem earlier with trying to actually finish it, but I'm probably gonna do this in 2 sections because I can't do it in one section. Basically, I don't have enough space. But let's continue. I want to do a video on this.
Ice me out, nigga, like Elsa. Fly me out, private jet, no Delta. You can send your bitch back to the shelter. Milo made a video titled 5 Things a Boyfriend, aka Parasite, Will Steal from a Woman. And the thumbnail that she uses is a picture of this white girl with her white partner. Now, Milo loves to use pictures of white men when talking about something disparagingly or something negative. And the reason why is because white men are not picking her and she's mad about it. Okay? She used this picture of this girl and her partner and put under it the title, 5 Things a Boyfriend, aka Parasite, Will Steal from You. First of all, this girl here is a daughter of a famous...
So I wanted to first start off saying I kind of feel like Milo is more so the type that does videos basically giving advice for relationship advice, specifically for Black women who are basically into other races of men. Sometimes Black men too, but I thought that's what she was specifically giving advice on, and that's why she, for some reason, tries to basically talk about the pitfalls one could go through, because I think specifically for her, she has gone through some pitfalls in her life, because I know she said that that's her preference or her interest is men outside of her race, I guess, specifically white men, I think. So that was, I think, a major reason why she focuses on that. But the thing is with this whole situation is I saw the video where Milu is talking to Divested Witch and how she was at first giving advice like she normally does, because that's a part of her channel, and I was okay with that part. But the problem was when she got into the point where she's telling her that her being with her man for 4 years is because he's the prize, and she went straight to the idea of him being of another race than her because he's white. For some reason she assumed he was her prize. So that was where I kind of felt like, that seemed in line with what it seems in line with what she's trying to say about Milu, in my opinion, that she's saying that she's against people who are in interracial relationships, even though she personally is interested in men outside of her race. And maybe it is a jealousy issue. I don't know, really. I've kind of opened my eyes to some of the things in this situation because of her having a whole long tirade about women who preferred men outside of their race and how she talked about them in that video. She painted them in a broad brush, and that was my issue with it, was painting in a broad brush. Like, people who paint in a broad brush, those are usually the mammies. Now, some of her perspective to me seemed like she was kind of like maybe used to Black men not desiring her or not interested in her, so she's not used to harassment or issues like that. And so it's an internalized pain issue that she had going on there. But I noticed that in the video where she had her whole rant on Divested Witch. But yeah, let's continue. I just want to watch the rest of this.
Celebrity, and this guy right here is not her boyfriend who's stealing and parasitic and all this stuff like that. This guy right here is her fiance. So he put a ring on her finger, and he comes from wealth as well. See, when you have a woman who will sit on her live stream and talk shit about divested black women and talk about white men are dusty and white men are dusty this and dusty white man that, it's because she's mad that she cannot get a white man. This girl has a quality white man and a white man who put a ring on her finger. And she wants you to believe that this guy is a parasite that's stealing and mooching and using this girl because she's trying to demonize this white guy because she can't have one. It's the same thing that these dusties do when they know that they can't have you. They will do everything they can to demonize you. Okay? Makayla Peterson recently got divorced from her ex-husband, Aubrey Coro.
Yeah, and to me, you know what's really interesting about Milu is why is it you don't see her depicting black men that way? But at the same time, like I said, you could also say if her target is actually men outside of her race, and why would she focus on black men? You know what I mean? Would she know much about dating black men if she's more so interested in men outside of her race? You get what I'm saying? So that's why it's always been confusing to me in that regard, basically. But it is something to pay attention to that she does not depict them as much, at least in what I've seen. Not particularly ever, I wouldn't say. I just think most of the time she does focus on white men and white men of low quality. True, there are some, of every race there's trash, but why just focus on white men? There's a reason for it, but it's like at some point it is an overload. Continue.
Cough. Don't quote me on that. She's currently engaged to Jordan Fuller, so this is her fiance. Okay? And they look damn good together. They're so cute. Makayla Peterson is a celebrity kid of the well-known Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, a clinical psychologist, professor at University of Toronto, a podcast host, as well as best-selling author. Like her father, she's also a podcaster, YouTuber, and a public speaker. So she's doing quite well for herself, and all I see when she used this thumbnail and entitled it, "Here's your mooching white boyfriend, this is what the white man gonna do to you, he's gonna mooch from you," all I see is just jealousy. Like, you should have did your research before even using, like, her.
I kind of feel like, if there is jealousy, I think her problem with her jealousy is this. She kind of needs to find a better man so then she's not jealous of other women. Like this random lady that doesn't even know her. Like that would be a better decision than to just be jealous of someone for some kind of guy that she wants to have that she can't have or whatever. Continue.
Photos, you know what I mean? Here's her right here. She's real cute. She's a CEO. Like, this girl has it going on. Like, you picked the wrong one to be sitting there trying to talk about she's being used and all this other goofy shit. Like, girl, it just sounds like to me that you're just jealous. You're mad at the sight of any woman with a white man has your ass triggered. And the reason why I say that is because look at her thumbnails. After she gets done talking shit about divestors and
True, that's what I mean. She does have photos specifically of anyone with a white man. It's like she does have some kind of thing going on there. That's interesting. But then again, I think of some of the things like as far as how she is politically, and it doesn't really line up with that idea of just directly hating white men, at least, in my perspective. I don't know, maybe she's just someone of a different ideology, I guess? I don't know.
ain't shit and white men ain't shit. She uses photos like this as her thumbnail. So she's clearly obsessed with trying to make divestors look bad, trying to make the white men they're with look unattractive and whatnot. Okay, but everybody knows that when white men get with black women, they are top.
Yeah, and that's another thing. You saying that she's basically trying to make black women look badly. It goes back to the whole thing where she just assumed basically that your man was basically a prize or whatever. You know, to me, I don't know, like that was concerning that she just went to the first idea that he's your prize just because he's a different race than you, not knowing anything about the dynamic of your relationship, not really even understanding that people want marriage at different pace than others, and not really even understanding that some people don't even want marriage. You know what I mean? People want different things out of their relationship, and that should be respected. Even if you do give relationship advice, it shouldn't be belittled that somebody came to the idea of marriage and things of that nature at a longer pace than another. People want different things, and I think that part should have been respected, and I feel like maybe it was not respected specifically because your partner's not black, you know and her connotation against people in interracial relationships. Continue.
Tier couple goals, okay? No one is looking at black women with white men and turning their nose up or looking at us in disgust. When I'm out with my man, people look at us.
Well, honestly, that depends on the individual. Honestly, I'm just going to say that does depend on the individual. But I mean, there's racist people, racist black people, black men, black women, Hispanic men, Hispanic women. But on the positive note, who really cares what racist people think? I think a relationship more so matters to the people that are in the relationship, not the onlookers. Like the onlookers, what does it matter? They're not living the life, right? As long as people are happy, that's all that should matter. Continue.
People want to talk to us. They say how cute of a couple we are. That is the general census and response that we get being a interracial couple. Everyone knows that when white men are looking for black women, they are looking for top tier black women. Okay? Unlike black men who are notorious for scraping at the bottom of the barrel and getting the white man's rejects, the white man is snatching.
I kind of feel like with black men, they're not scraping the bottom. I think a lot of black men just go for anything that will have them. They're desperate, People always say they're desperate for people outside of their race. They're not. They're desperate for any woman. Really, completely honest. It's not specific to race. They're just desperate. Anyway, continue.
The black man's top tier women. Okay, that's why you will see a lot of jealousy coming both from the mammies and from the black male incels, the Kevin Samuel-esque incels and shit like that. They mad because they cannot have you. They know that you're top tier. They know that you don't want them, and they know that you're not their type. So
yes, and they work together many of the time, in real life and online too. They work together to try and attack you because they feel like if you ever were like them, you would be beneath where you are, basically. Let me explain. It's basically like this. As far as status goes, people think that your status is higher, and then with like the black man, they think it's lower, basically. I do not think this particularly, but a lot of people do think that. So that's why the mammies get upset, because they're with the black man, so they think their status is lower, and then they're upset at the other women who are with white men, I mean, because they feel their status is higher than theirs, and then the black men have an issue because they can't have them. So then the mammies and the black men work together, basically, and that's how they basically work against women like you, because they're jealous. Both sides are jealous. Now, I don't know. What is Milu? Isn't Milu kind of like what you're basically saying? She is someone who was rejected, I guess, by white men, or someone who failed, basically. I don't think she's failed, personally. I think she's someone who hasn't found the one, but she can always find the one. It's never too late for her. You know what I mean? But you can find even those type of women will work with mammies and black men as well. But yeah, continue.
Oh, they'll try to demonize you, talk about, well, we didn't want you anyway. And you're the reject of the black man, sister.
Yeah, they always try and say that. I think they think of, like, for example, like women who are mad at black men. The ones who are mad at black men, who think that basically they were rejected by black men, those are the rejects. Not the ones who just found someone other than black men they're interested in. Some people just aren't into black men. That's not wrong or anything. That's not hate towards black men. That's just not interested in black men. And it's got nothing to do with reject. If you don't want something, you can't be rejected by something you don't want. But continue.
Society, we didn't want you, and nobody believes that. No one in their right mind believes that. Everybody knows that when white men date or marry black women, that black woman is going to be not only college educated, but attractive as well. Okay? White men are getting top tier black women. And you're not going to see thumbnails like this on Milo's channel, because she tries to spin this narrative that divested couples.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like, why is there no positive side to it? I mean, in a relationship advice platform, you should have a positive outcome to keep people motivated. You don't want to always just talk about the negative. You want to talk about the positive and the positive result. The positive techniques, tactics, and results. You don't want to just talk about negativity when you're giving advice. It doesn't give anyone motivation to actually continue to actually try to look for the one. And if she's taking her own advice, it's not going to do well for her, because she's basically saying she's given up. And that's no way to be. She shouldn't give up to finding the man that's meant for her, especially if her preference isn't men within her race, which she said it's not.
Are unattractive, and that we're not happy with our men and all this stuff like that, and it's just not the case. Okay, that is not the case. And to me, she's just bitter and jealous. She's bitter and jealous that she ain't getting picked by no white man. And I'm sorry, but like I said, like, you can paint whatever false narrative you want. The world as a whole, when they see white men with black women, this is what they see. These are real couples. This is not stock photos. Okay? These are actual couples. All right? The man is going to be attractive, and so is the woman. So y'all can miss me with that bullshit, trying to paint false narratives about us, because it's not going to work. We are both top tier. Ice me out, nigga, like Elsa.
But yeah, I do agree with the end result of what she's saying about basically. Oh, sorry. How she's saying that they're going to be on the same level of attractiveness and things of that nature. She's certainly right about that, and I do think that Milo does focus a bit on the negativity when she's giving advice, which kind of makes it seem like it's an agenda to some extent, or a narrative she's trying to make it out to be, you know. But yeah, I don't really have anything against what she's saying here. You know, I understand her perspective considering what she has seen from Milu and how it has made her perceive Milu as well. You know, I can't blame her for that for sure. Personally, for me, like I've said before, it's this whole situation has kind of opened my eyes on Milu Divine, because it's kind of like, why would you assume someone is basically saying, why are you assuming this woman's man is her prize simply because he's another race? Why would you think just because he's white, he's her prize? She's told you nothing about him. So why do you make an assumption, a negative assumption about her just based off of race, based off the fact that she's with a man who's outside of her race? Like, that's none of your knowledge. You know, that's not anything you know. All you knew was that they were in a relationship for 4 years and then they got engaged. So, I mean, there's not really much else you can really go off of. You'd have to actually ask questions, but she didn't ask questions. Instead, what she did was she made an assumption, and she made a negative assumption based off of race, and that to me means she has negative views towards people based off of the race of man that they choose to be with, particularly if that man is white and they are black. That says a lot about her mindset towards women who are basically dating in relationships with or married to men outside of their race who are white. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching, everyone. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and have a great day. Bye.